The sun dips slowly over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the sands of Egypt. In this quiet moment, it feels as though the past itself is breathing gently, waiting to share its stories. Ancient Egypt is a land of contrasts. Lush riverbanks alive with water and life, surrounded by vast deserts that hold the weight of centuries in silence. It is a place where civilization rose in harmony with nature, yet left behind puzzles that continue to intrigue the world today. The monuments that tower over the landscape are more than stone. They are messages from those who walked this land long ago, whispers of dreams, ambitions, and mysteries that defy time. As we journey through this land of pharaohs, temples, and hidden tombs, we encounter both the known and the unknown. Some secrets are recorded in hieroglyphs, carved carefully into walls, while others remain concealed beneath shifting sands. The Nile itself seems to guide the narrative, flowing with quiet certainty, linking life and death, human endeavor and divine inspiration. The river was both a highway and a lifeline, nourishing the land while allowing ideas, culture, and myth to flourish. Its gentle currents carry the memory of thousands of years, reminding us that every stone, every artifact, and every faded inscription holds a story waiting to be heard. In this documentary, we will explore the grandeur of ancient Egypt while listening carefully to the silence that surrounds its mysteries. We will contrast the brilliance of known achievements, the architectural wonders, the complex society, the sophisticated knowledge of the stars, with the shadows of unanswered questions. Why were the pyramids built with such precision? What messages are hidden in the tombs? How did a civilization so ancient achieve feats that still seem extraordinary today? These questions are not meant to be rushed or solved quickly. Instead, we will allow ourselves to wander slowly through history, letting curiosity rise naturally like the soft desert wind at dusk. The journey is not only about uncovering facts, but also about experiencing the atmosphere of a land suspended between time and eternity. Imagine walking along the Nile at twilight, the water shimmering with reflected light, the silhouettes of ancient temples looming softly in the distance. Every detail, the crackle of dry reeds, the whisper of wind through sandstone cliffs, evokes a sense of calm exploration. Listeners are invited to immerse themselves fully, letting the mysteries of the past unfold gently, like pages turning in a quiet, forgotten book. By the end of this introduction, the stage is set for a journey that balances history and wonder, fact and speculation, light and shadow. It is a journey that does not rush but flows with the same timeless rhythm as the Nile itself, preparing the mind to drift comfortably into the stories of pharaohs, tombs, and celestial secrets that await. Ancient Egypt is not merely a place to study. It is a place to feel, to imagine, and to quietly marvel at, as each secret gradually reveals itself through time and patience. The land of ancient Egypt stretches like a ribbon of life through the heart of the desert. To the untrained eye, it may appear as nothing more than endless sands, shifting with the whims of the wind. Yet for those who have walked its banks, who have listened to the subtle whispers of the Nile, this land is alive with stories and secrets that span millennia. The Nile River, Egypt's lifeblood, carves its way northward, weaving fertile valleys through an otherwise arid landscape. Along its banks, the pulse of life beats steadily, sustaining civilizations that would rise and fall, leaving behind monuments, tombs, and mysteries that continue to intrigue the world today. The contrast between the lushness of the river and the harsh emptiness of the desert is striking. On one side, there is water, greenery, and life. On the other, sun-scorched plains, rock-strewn deserts, and dunes that shift endlessly like the passing of time itself. It is in this interplay of extremes that ancient Egyptian society took root. The river's predictable floods brought fertility and abundance, allowing settlements to grow and flourish. Meanwhile, the surrounding deserts acted as natural barriers, isolating communities and preserving them from outside intrusion. In this way, Egypt became a cradle of civilization, a place where nature's rhythm and human ingenuity converged in delicate harmony. Time in this land is measured differently. The rise and fall of the sun, the flow of the Nile, and the movements of the stars all dictated the pace of life. Ancient Egyptians were acutely aware of these cycles. Their calendars were aligned with celestial events, guiding agricultural practices and religious ceremonies alike. Seasons became more than mere divisions of the year. They were markers of survival, prosperity, and the eternal dance of life and death. In the quiet of the desert or along the meandering Nile, one can almost feel the weight of time pressing gently, yet insistently, against every stone and every grain of sand. As we explore this geography, we begin to see the duality of Egypt, the tangible and the mystical, the known and the unknown. The Nile's fertile banks nurtured crops and communities, yet beneath the surface of this well-ordered life lay hidden tombs, secret temples, and enigmatic relics waiting to be discovered. The desert, seemingly empty, guards countless secrets, preserving them beneath layers of sand that shift imperceptibly over centuries. There's a rhythm here, a subtle harmony between what is visible and what is concealed, between life that thrives and history that sleeps quietly beneath the surface. The land itself tells stories. Mountains and cliffs, though silent, bear witness to human ingenuity and divine inspiration. Quarry sites reveal how stone was extracted and transported, often across vast distances, to construct monumental temples and pyramids. The alignment of these structures was not random. It followed the stars, the sun, and sacred geographic principles. In this way, geography was not merely a backdrop for human activity. It was an active participant shaping thought, culture, and spiritual belief. The interplay of land and sky, earth and water, life and death, created a canvas upon which ancient Egypt painted its enduring legacy. Traveling through Egypt today, one can sense the invisible threads connecting past and present. The Nile still flows, calm and eternal, as it did thousands of years ago. Its waters carry memories of ancient fishermen, traders, and priests who all relied on its rhythm to navigate both physical and spiritual realms. Even the desert, often silent and unforgiving, seems to hum with history, concealing the footprints of those who dared to build in places where survival was uncertain. Every dune, every rocky outcrop, is a reminder of the delicate balance between human endeavor and nature's vast, timeless power. It is in this balance that some of Egypt's deepest mysteries are found. Why did ancient builders choose certain locations for their monuments? How did they align temples and pyramids with such precision, sometimes spanning vast distances? While modern science can explain much of the technical skill involved, it cannot fully capture the intention, the belief, and the reverence that shaped these choices. Geography was not merely a practical consideration. It was intertwined with the spiritual and the cosmic, creating a world where every stone and river bend had significance beyond the immediate and visible. Even the climate played its role in shaping mystery. The desert's harsh extremes preserved certain artifacts while erasing others, creating a selective memory of history. Floods could enrich the soil one year and destroy a harvest the next, instilling a sense of impermanence and respect for forces beyond human control. This tension between control and surrender, abundance and scarcity, mirrors the broader mysteries of Egypt. Civilizations could achieve extraordinary feats, yet they were always at the mercy of forces larger than themselves, be they natural, divine, or cosmic. In the quiet of twilight, the Egyptian landscape reveals its dual nature more clearly. The sun casts long shadows across the dunes, and the Nile shimmers with soft reflections of fading light. The land feels both eternal and fragile, full of life and brimming with secrets yet untouched. Walking along these riverbanks, one senses that every whisper of wind, every rustle of reeds, Every ripple of water is carrying stories from the past, stories that invite contemplation, wonder, and a gentle curiosity that lingers in the mind. By understanding Egypt's geography and the passage of time, we begin to grasp why this civilization thrived and why its mysteries endure. The land shaped its people just as much as the people shaped the land. Rivers and deserts, mountains and valleys, sun and stars, all became part of a delicate tapestry that combined practicality with philosophy, survival with spirituality. And it is in this delicate weaving that we find the foundation for the monuments, tombs, rituals, and stories that we will explore in the sections to come. As we leave the fertile banks and step tentatively into the deserts, we carry with us a sense of both wonder and reverence. The landscape has revealed its rhythm, its life-giving power, and its quiet guardianship over hidden mysteries. This is the Egypt of contrasts, fertile and barren, known and unknown, light and shadow. And it is this duality that will guide our journey forward, allowing us to uncover the stories of pharaohs, tombs, and temples while feeling the meditative heartbeat of a land that has witnessed millennia of human curiosity and ambition. The story of ancient Egypt is inseparable from the lives of its pharaohs, the rulers who claimed both divine and earthly authority. They were kings and queens, yet also figures suspended between the mortal world and the eternal. Each pharaoh carried with them the weight of a civilization, the dreams of their people, and the quiet ambition to transcend death itself. From the moment they ascended the throne, their lives were meticulously orchestrated, designed not only to govern, but to endure. Their power was displayed in monumental architecture, in intricate rituals, and in the careful preservation of their legacies. And yet, for all their magnificence, they remain figures of mystery, often glimpsed only through fragments of stone, inscriptions, and stories that have survived the relentless march of time. The grandeur of a pharaoh's life is immediately apparent in the palaces and temples they commissioned. Walls adorned with vibrant frescoes, carved with depictions of battles, religious ceremonies, and offerings to the gods, tell tales of authority, devotion, and human ambition. Yet alongside these displays of order and triumph lies the quiet shadow of the unknown, which rulers are fully documented, and which remain enigmatic. Some pharaohs are celebrated, their names etched forever in history, while others are shrouded in obscurity, their stories waiting to be pieced together from scattered evidence. This contrast between the known and unknown creates a delicate tension, a space where curiosity thrives, inviting the mind to wander through corridors of both power and mystery. Death was never far from Pharaoh's life. Ancient Egyptians believed deeply in the afterlife, and the concept of immortality shaped every aspect of governance, architecture, and daily practice. The elaborate rituals surrounding death were not merely ceremonial. They were an attempt to ensure the soul's safe passage into eternity. Mummification, tomb construction, and the placement of offerings all reflected a profound understanding of both the fragility and resilience of life. Each act was intended to defy the inevitability of mortality, creating a bridge between the fleeting present and the endless future. In this pursuit of eternal existence, pharaohs became both human and divine, figures whose ambitions extended far beyond their earthly reigns. Among the most intriguing aspects of pharaohs' lives is the meticulous planning of their tombs. These were more than resting places. They were sanctuaries of the soul, repositories of knowledge, and symbols of eternal power. Within their chambers, walls were inscribed with texts that served both as guidance and protection for the journey ahead. Objects, everything from jewelry to food to statues, were carefully chosen to accompany the ruler, ensuring comfort, status, and security in the afterlife. Yet many questions remain. Why were certain treasures placed in some tombs but not others? How did architects manage to create spaces that were not only secure but perfectly aligned with the stars? These puzzles linger, quietly challenging our understanding of these ancient masters. Pharaohs also embodied the balance between earthly rule and divine connection. They were expected to maintain Ma'at, the principle of order, balance, and harmony, through both political authority and spiritual observance. Their public image was carefully curated, projecting strength, wisdom, and divine favor. Yet the private realities of their lives remain largely hidden. Did they experience doubt, fear, or longing, as all humans do? While their statues, inscriptions, and monuments speak of perfection, the shadows of uncertainty hint at the humanity behind the godlike facade. These juxtapositions, perfection and imperfection, divine and mortal, known and unknown, invite a deeper reflection on the nature of leadership and the universal desire to leave a lasting mark. The lives of pharaohs were also intimately tied to their people. Their policies, religious practices, and monumental projects shaped the rhythm of everyday life along the Nile. Yet there was always an element of mystery in their decisions. Why were certain monuments built in specific locations? How were labor forces organized to accomplish feats that still inspire wonder today? Some answers are found in records of taxation, labor, and religious decree, but others remain elusive, locked away in the silence of centuries. The interplay of clarity and enigma in their reigns mirrors the broader mysteries of Egypt itself, creating a landscape of history that is as fascinating as it is unresolved. Consider the stories of the lesser-known pharaohs, whose names occasionally surface in inscriptions or fleeting references in neighboring civilizations' records. These rulers are like faint echoes, suggesting lives of influence and ambition, yet leaving gaps that ignite the imagination. Each fragment, an artifact, a hieroglyph, a ceremonial object, offers a glimpse into a complex world of politics, faith, and personal aspiration. The contrast between well-documented rulers and these shadowy figures emphasizes the fragility of memory and the selective preservation of history, encouraging a quiet meditation on what has been lost to time. The architectural legacies of pharaohs, the temples, pyramids, and obelisks, serve as physical manifestations of their dreams. Each stone was carefully placed, each design chosen for purpose and symbolism, from the alignment with celestial bodies to the reflection of religious ideals. These structures endure, yet they also hold secrets. Hidden chambers, unrecorded inscriptions, and construction methods still spark debate among historians and archaeologists. Even as modern tools reveal new insights, the sense of awe remains, as if the pharaohs themselves intended to leave an element of mystery, a whisper of the unknown that invites exploration, reflection, and wonder. Pharaohs were also central to the mythology and spiritual life of Egypt. Many were considered incarnations or chosen agents of the gods, acting as intermediaries between the human and divine realms. Their actions, rituals, and decisions were imbued with religious significance, blending political authority with spiritual responsibility. This dual role added layers of complexity to their lives, creating a delicate dance between earthly governance and eternal destiny. It is within this balance that we begin to understand why their stories continue to captivate us. The pharaohs were architects not only of monuments, but of the very idea of legacy itself. Yet, for all the monuments and rituals, the pharaohs remain fundamentally mysterious. Tombs have been looted, inscriptions eroded, and records lost. Some reigns are documented in exquisite detail, while others exist only as shadows in the annals of time. This duality, what is known versus what remains hidden, creates a narrative tension that draws us deeper into the history of ancient Egypt. Every discovery brings clarity, yet also prompts further questions, reinforcing the notion that the past is both a teacher and a puzzle, revealing its secrets slowly, almost reluctantly, to those who seek them. As we move from the lives of the pharaohs to the spaces they left behind, the tombs, temples, and monuments, the threads of ambition, divinity, and mystery remain tightly interwoven. The grandeur of their achievements, the depth of their beliefs, and the enduring enigmas of their lives set the stage for our next exploration. The architecture that continues to both dazzle and confound. By contemplating the pharaohs, We gain not only an understanding of leadership and legacy, but also a sense of awe at the human capacity to reach toward eternity while leaving a trail of questions for generations to follow. The monuments of ancient Egypt rise like echoes of eternity, silent witnesses to human ambition and divine devotion. Temples and tombs were more than structures of stone. They were vessels of thought, belief, and intricate planning, designed to endure across millennia. Each block, each carving, and each alignment reflects an understanding of both the physical and the spiritual world. Temples welcomed the living and honored the gods, while tombs sheltered the dead, creating spaces where earthly existence intertwined seamlessly with the promise of eternity. As we approach these creations, it becomes clear that their design was a dialogue between humans and deities, between the seen and the unseen, between permanence and the fleeting passage of time. The architecture of these sacred spaces embodies contrasts that are at once practical and symbolic. Consider the pyramids, standing stark against the desert sky. Their precise angles and massive scale demonstrate mastery of mathematics, engineering, and logistics. Yet, beyond the technical achievements lies a mystery that has captivated scholars for centuries. How were such enormous stones transported with the tools of the time? Why were the pyramids aligned with such exactitude to the stars and cardinal directions? Even the passageways and chambers inside the tombs hint at a careful orchestration of spiritual journey, guiding the deceased through a landscape of protection, symbolism, and cosmic alignment. Each structure is both a marvel of human ingenuity and a puzzle that continues to challenge modern understanding. Temples, on the other hand, were places of ritual, devotion, and political expression. Massive pylons, adorned with bas-reliefs, welcomed worshippers into sacred spaces where the divine presence was believed to manifest. Columns rose like groves of stone, echoing the natural world, while sanctuaries at the heart of the temple served as intimate connections between humans and gods. The placement and orientation of these temples were deliberate, often aligned with solar and stellar events that marked festivals, agricultural cycles, and spiritual ceremonies. Walking through these spaces, one senses an almost ethereal rhythm, a harmony that suggests the architects understood not only construction, but the subtle poetry of light, shadow, and human experience. Every detail in tombs and temples carried meaning. Reliefs and inscriptions were not decorative alone. They recorded rituals, conveyed stories, and offered guidance for the afterlife. Some carvings depict gods and pharaohs in serene or triumphant poses, while others hint at darker, hidden knowledge, encoded in symbols whose meanings we only partially comprehend. These symbols create layers of understanding, allowing both ancient visitors and modern explorers to experience the spaces on multiple levels. There's a dialogue between the seen and the unseen, inviting quiet contemplation, as though the walls themselves are speaking in whispers meant for patient ears. Hidden chambers and secret passages add another layer of mystery to these structures. Many pyramids and tombs are still only partially explored, their interiors revealing surprises that challenge assumptions about construction, burial practices, and spiritual belief. Some tombs contain false corridors, intricate trap systems, and hidden niches, suggesting that the builders anticipated the curiosity of the living as well as the journey of the dead. The purpose of these designs remains debated, blending practicality with the esoteric. Were they meant to deter grave robbers, honor celestial patterns, or communicate messages to future generations? Each hypothesis is a thread that leads deeper into the enigmatic heart of ancient Egyptian architecture. The materials themselves tell a story. Limestone, granite, sandstone, all quarried and transported across vast distances, carry with them the energy and effort of countless workers. The choice of stone often had spiritual significance, intended to ensure durability and convey divine favor. The smooth surfaces of polished granite, the delicate carvings on limestone, and the imposing scale of sandstone walls all work together to create an environment where human skill meets cosmic aspiration. There is an inherent poetry in the way the builders transformed raw earth into spaces that continue to inspire awe, inviting reflection on the intersection of labor, intention, and eternity. Even the locations of temples and tombs are infused with meaning. Many were positioned in harmony with the landscape, near the Nile, on elevated plains, or within desert valleys, balancing accessibility with sacred seclusion. Some sites were chosen to align with celestial events, ensuring that sunlight or starlight would illuminate specific chambers at particular times of the year. These alignments were not accidental. They reflected a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, geography, and symbolism. By combining physical precision with spiritual resonance, the architects created spaces that transcended the material world, allowing the divine to coexist with the human in ways both subtle and profound. The process of construction itself is a mystery layered with human determination and ingenuity. Teams of laborers, engineers, and artisans worked in concert, sometimes over decades, to bring these grand visions to life. Techniques for lifting massive stones, creating precise alignments, and carving intricate reliefs without modern tools remain partially speculative, leaving room for awe and imagination. The collaboration required for such feats speaks to a society deeply committed to collective purpose, ritual practice, and the enduring power of legacy. Each completed temple or tomb stands as a silent testament to human patience, creativity, and devotion. Beyond their structural and functional significance, tombs and temples were also symbolic maps of the universe. Hieroglyphs, celestial alignments, and sacred geometry suggest that these spaces mirrored the cosmos itself, creating miniature worlds where the living and the dead could encounter divine forces. In this sense, architecture was both practical and mystical, a bridge between the material and spiritual, the temporal and eternal. Visitors, priests, and the deceased themselves experienced these spaces as journeys, moving through sequences of light, shadow, and sacred imagery designed to evoke reflection, reverence, and wonder. As we contemplate these structures from a distance, the interplay between clarity and mystery becomes evident. Every wall tells a story, yet some stories are intentionally hidden. Every stone reflects human skill, yet some methods remain elusive. The duality of these creations, solid and enduring, yet filled with secrets, mirrors the broader narrative of ancient Egypt, a civilization of brilliance and enigma, ambition and devotion, light and shadow. These monuments invite us to slow down, to observe, and to consider the intentions behind their construction, while leaving room for imagination to wander through hidden chambers and forgotten corridors. By understanding the architecture of tombs and temples, we gain insight into the values, beliefs, and aspirations of a civilization that spanned thousands of years. These structures were not merely practical solutions for housing the dead or facilitating worship. They were expressions of identity, power, and cosmic understanding. They reflect a culture attuned to the rhythm of nature, the cycles of the stars, and the mysteries of life and death. And in their silent, enduring presence, they continue to whisper their secrets, inviting us to listen carefully, slowly, and patiently as the sands of time drift around them. As our journey moves forward, we leave the architectural marvels behind and turn toward the very people who inhabited this world. Their daily lives, their routines, and the small, intimate details that illuminate a civilization often defined by grandeur alone. By stepping from monuments into the human sphere, we gain a richer, more nuanced understanding of ancient Egypt, blending history and mystery in ways that continue to inspire curiosity, reflection, and quiet wonder. While the grandeur of pharaohs and the majesty of monuments often dominate our vision of ancient Egypt, the rhythm of daily life along the Nile tells a quieter, equally compelling story. Here, ordinary people labored, celebrated, loved, and dreamed under the same sun and stars that guided kings and gods. The Nile was the lifeblood of these communities, shaping their routines, sustaining their crops, and connecting villages through trade and communication. Its waters dictated the passage of seasons, the timing of planting and harvest, and the delicate balance between abundance and scarcity. Life along the river was at once fragile and enduring, ordinary yet brimming with subtle mysteries that survive in fragments of pottery, faded murals, and scattered inscriptions. Homes were modest, often constructed of mud brick, with flat roofs that caught the gentle evening breezes. Families shared space with livestock, and daily routines were guided by both necessity and tradition. Men and women tended fields, fished in the river, or crafted tools, while children learned the skills of their parents, preparing quietly for adulthood. Yet beneath this apparent simplicity lay a profound connection to both the land and the spiritual world. Many daily practices were imbued with ritual significance: offerings to household gods, small ceremonies for protection and fertility, and careful attention to cleanliness and preparation for the next life. Even the ordinary was sacred, reflecting the pervasive intertwining of the material and spiritual. Food and agriculture were central to life along the Nile. Farmers relied on the predictable flooding of the river, which deposited nutrient-rich silt along the banks. Wheat, barley, flax, and various vegetables thrived in these fertile soils, while livestock provided additional sustenance and labor. Brewing beer and baking bread were daily necessities, yet these acts also carried ritual and social significance, forming the backdrop for festivals, religious offerings, and community gatherings. The cycle of planting, tending, and harvesting mirrored larger cosmic rhythms, emphasizing harmony with nature and the passage of time. Through these cycles, ordinary Egyptians participated in the same eternal patterns revered by kings and priests, connecting their lives to forces far greater than themselves. Trade and craftsmanship added layers of richness to these communities. Skilled artisans produced jewelry, pottery, textiles, and tools, blending functionality with artistry. Markets bustled with activity, offering a glimpse into both local life and the wider world of ancient Egypt. Exotic goods from distant lands, copper, gold, incense, and rare stones, arrive along caravan routes, linking villages and cities to networks that span continents. In these exchanges, people participated in a world far larger than their immediate surroundings, engaging in both practical commerce and subtle cultural diplomacy. Every crafted object, every traded item, carries with it a story of human ingenuity, desire, and the quiet mysteries of connectivity. Religion and ritual permeated the ordinary as well. Daily offerings, prayers, and small ceremonies ensured protection, health, and prosperity. Household shrines often held figurines of gods or ancestors, while sacred texts and amulets offered guidance and protection. Even the smallest gestures, pouring water for the spirits of a land, placing a piece of bread on an altar, or whispering a prayer at dawn, connected individuals to an unseen world of forces that governed life and death. These practices remind us that mystery was not confined to tombs or temples. It existed within the ordinary, guiding behavior, shaping thought, and offering a sense of comfort and connection. Life along the Nile was also marked by celebrations and festivals, moments when communities collectively honored gods, seasons, and life itself. Music, dance, and communal feasting brought people together, blending the ordinary with the extraordinary. Stories of creation, mythic heroes, and divine intervention were recited, ensuring that culture and memory passed from one generation to the next. These gatherings reinforced social bonds, imparted values, and allowed individuals to experience moments of transcendence, even within the bounds of everyday life. In these celebrations, the line between the known and unknown, the mundane and the mystical, blurred beautifully, creating spaces where ordinary existence felt infused with magic. Yet mystery was never far from daily life. Archaeologists continue to uncover secrets of health, diet, and social structure, revealing surprising details about these communities. Illnesses, medical practices, and even personal letters hint at emotional lives filled with love, grief, hope, and fear. Some artifacts raise questions we cannot fully answer. Why were certain objects buried with ordinary people? How did small villages manage rituals and maintain traditions over centuries? These puzzles, preserved in fragments, remind us that history is rarely complete and that ordinary lives, while quieter than those of kings, were deeply intertwined with the mysteries of existence. Even the Nile itself carries its own subtle secrets. Its waters, calm one season and threateningly high in another, shaped lives in ways both visible and hidden. Fish populations, riverbank erosion, and shifting channels required constant adaptation, creating a dialogue between humans and nature. Observing the river, one senses the passage of time, the cycles of abundance and scarcity, and the quiet lessons imparted by nature. The ebb and flow of the Nile mirrored the rhythms of life, reminding Egyptians that survival, prosperity, and even mystery were inseparable from the world around them. The contrast between the simple routines of daily life and the grandeur of tombs, temples, and pharaohs underscores the richness of ancient Egypt. Ordinary people may not have commanded armies or carved pyramids, yet they shaped the civilization in profound ways. Farmers, artisans, merchants, and priests created the social, economic, and spiritual fabric upon which extraordinary achievements could be realized. Their lives, though quieter, were no less vital or intriguing, containing stories of resilience, creativity, and subtle wonder. The duality of ordinary and extraordinary life creates a sense of balance, showing that the pulse of Egypt beats not only in monumental stone, but also in human hearts. By examining daily life along the Nile, we gain insight into a world that was simultaneously practical and mysterious. We begin to understand how survival, ritual, community, and ambition intertwined to create a culture capable of remarkable feats, yet deeply attuned to the rhythms of the natural and spiritual world. Even in their simplest acts, the people of ancient Egypt were participants in a vast, ongoing dialogue with time, nature, and the divine. These glimpses into everyday existence offer both grounding and fascination, reminding us that history's mysteries often reside not only in grand monuments, but also in quiet, fleeting moments. As we move forward from daily life, we begin to explore the spiritual beliefs that guided Egyptians beyond the physical world, rituals, gods, and myths that shaped both personal and collective destinies. By understanding the ordinary, we are prepared to enter the extraordinary realms of faith, death, and cosmic wonder that define the civilization's enduring mysteries. In ancient Egypt, the ordinary and the divine were inseparable, intertwined in ways that shaped every thought, ritual, and decision. Egyptians inhabited a world alive with gods, spirits, and cosmic forces, each with its own personality, domain, and influence over daily life. From the radiant sun god Ra to the mysterious goddess Isis, the pantheon provided not only explanation but guidance, offering a framework to understand existence, morality, and the universe itself. Myths were not merely stories. They were maps of understanding, symbolic pathways through which humans could navigate the mysteries of life, death, and the beyond. In contemplating these beliefs, we glimpse a civilization deeply attuned to both the seen and unseen, where spiritual imagination and practical living coexisted in harmony. The myths of creation reveal the Egyptians' fascination with origins and cosmic order. Tales spoke of chaos giving way to harmony, of the sun rising from primordial waters, and of gods shaping the world from nothingness. These stories conveyed more than entertainment. They were reflections on human purpose, mortality, and the forces that govern existence. By meditating on such narratives, Egyptians understood their place in a vast, interconnected universe where every action, offering, and ritual resonated with larger, eternal patterns. The myths provided both comfort and curiosity, suggesting that life, though fleeting, was part of an ongoing cosmic dance that extended far beyond the horizon. Death was not an end, but a transition, a journey into the afterlife where the soul could continue its existence among the divine. Central to this belief was the concept of Ma'at, the principle of truth, balance, and cosmic order. Egyptians believed that a life lived in accordance with Ma'at ensured safe passage beyond death, allowing the soul to join the eternal cycle. Elaborate funerary rituals, mummification, and burial practices were all designed to preserve both body and spirit, reflecting a civilization obsessed with continuity and the interplay between mortality and eternity. Even in the smallest details, preparing food for the deceased, placing amulets for protection, or inscribing spells on tomb walls, humans sought to bridge the gap between life and what lay beyond. The Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and instructions for the afterlife, exemplifies the Egyptians' profound attention to spiritual detail. Each illustration and text served as a guide through unknown realms, warning of dangers, advising on conduct, and revealing the rewards of virtue. The journey was envisioned as both perilous and wondrous, with obstacles, guardians, and opportunities for triumph. Reading these texts today, one senses not only the practical instructions, but the poetic meditation on human existence, morality, and the allure of mystery. The Egyptians' meticulous care for the soul reflects a civilization that embraced both certainty and enigma, grounding their faith in preparation, imagination, and hope. Temples and tombs were physical manifestations of these beliefs, serving as stages where humans could encounter the divine. Walls adorned with gods, symbolic animals, and celestial scenes created immersive experiences, transforming space into a spiritual journey. Rituals, chants, and offerings brought these images to life, connecting the tangible and intangible. Priests served as guides, mediators between the mortal and immortal, orchestrating ceremonies that mirrored cosmic events. The careful choreography of light, sound, and gesture transformed ordinary spaces into portals, emphasizing that reality itself was layered, with visible and hidden realms coexisting in delicate balance. The Egyptians' pantheon was rich with contrasts, benevolent deities who nurtured and protected, and fearsome beings who punished or challenged the living and the dead. This duality mirrored life itself, its joys and dangers, certainties and unknowns. Horus, the falcon-headed god, represented kingship and protection, while Seth embodied chaos and disruption, creating an eternal tension that echoed through myth, ritual, and art. Daily life, decisions, and morality were subtly informed by these forces, reminding individuals that their actions resonated within a universe governed by complex interplay. Even a simple gesture, a prayer, an offering, a respectful word, was a brushstroke on the canvas of cosmic balance. The spiritual imagination extended to the natural world, where animals, plants, and celestial bodies were imbued with divine significance. Cats were protectors and sacred companions. Crocodiles commanded fear and respect, and the Nile itself was both life-giver and spiritual presence. Observing the stars, tracking the sun, and noting the moon's phases were not mere acts of survival. They were meditations on order, permanence, and mystery. The Egyptians lived in a world where the ordinary and extraordinary were inseparable, where the rhythms of the natural world mirrored those of gods and spirits, creating a constant dialogue between human experience and divine presence. Even ordinary people engaged with the divine in intimate ways. Household shrines, small offerings, and whispered prayers allowed individuals to navigate uncertainty, seek guidance, or give thanks. Life and death were never considered apart from the spiritual realm. Every choice carried ethical and cosmic weight. Mystery was not something remote. It was woven into every corner of existence, from the humblest home to the grandest temple. By participating in this spiritual network, Egyptians created continuity between generations, ensuring that the unseen world remained ever present in both thought and action. The afterlife itself was envisioned with contrasts of light and darkness, challenge and reward, peril and protection. Souls journeyed through shadowed landscapes, guided by knowledge, virtue, and courage. They encountered both allies and adversaries, navigating a symbolic cosmos that reflected the struggles and hopes of mortal life. The detailed depictions on tomb walls and papyrus scrolls create an immersive narrative where human imagination and religious instruction converge. It is a world at once strange and familiar, terrifying yet comforting, offering a vision of continuity that transcends time, geography, and mortality. The persistence of these beliefs, rituals, and myths over millennia highlights the Egyptians' commitment to understanding both life and its mysteries. They approached existence not as a series of random events, but as a carefully ordered continuum, in which human agency, natural forces, and divine intention intertwined. The gods were both known and unknowable, their presence providing guidance, inspiration, and awe. By studying these myths, we glimpse the Egyptians' quest to reconcile the fleeting with the eternal, the tangible with the unseen, and the ordinary with the extraordinary. As we leave the spiritual and mythical world of ancient Egypt, the transition is natural. From the invisible forces that shaped hearts and souls, we move toward the artifacts and symbols left behind, physical traces that encode both knowledge and enigma. Through tombs, temples, texts, and art, we follow the threads of faith and imagination, exploring how mystery persisted not only in beliefs, but in the enduring relics of a civilization devoted to bridging the known and unknown. One of the most enchanting aspects of ancient Egypt is its written language, a system of symbols that transformed ordinary communication into art, ritual, and mystery. Hieroglyphs were more than letters. They were windows into the minds, beliefs, and lives of a civilization long vanished. Each carefully inscribed sign carried meaning, emotion, and intention, encoding knowledge for both the present and the distant future. As we trace these symbols across tomb walls, temple columns, and papyrus scrolls, we sense the deliberate interplay of the known and the unknown, the practical and the mystical, reminding us that even writing can be an instrument of wonder. The origins of hieroglyphs remain partly mysterious, though scholars agree they arose from the need to record events, manage resources, and honor the divine. Early carvings depicted objects, animals, and people, often with remarkable precision and symbolism. Over time, these images evolved into a sophisticated system capable of expressing abstract concepts, names, prayers, and historical narratives. Hieroglyphs were a bridge between the tangible and the intangible. The act of writing itself became a ritual, connecting the human scribe to the gods, the cosmos, and the eternal record of time. Temples and tombs are the most evocative repositories of this symbolic language. Walls adorned with hieroglyphs tell stories of kings and gods, battles and treaties, life and death. In tombs, hieroglyphs often accompanied illustrations of gods and the deceased, guiding the soul through the afterlife. Each symbol was intentional, chosen not only for its linguistic meaning, but also for its spiritual resonance. For instance, the depiction of an eye might symbolize protection, vigilance, or divine sight, while a lotus could signify rebirth or purity. In these combinations, the Egyptians wove complex layers of knowledge, belief, and imagination into permanent stone and delicate papyrus. The very act of reading hieroglyphs requires patience, curiosity, and a sense of wonder. Unlike modern scripts, where letters are abstract and linear, hieroglyphs operate simultaneously as images, phonetics, and concepts. A single symbol might convey a sound, a word, or an idea, depending on context and placement. This multidimensionality imbues every inscription with a subtle magic. Even an ordinary administrative record can carry aesthetic beauty, spiritual significance, and hidden layers of meaning. Hieroglyphs remind us that communication can be more than functional. It can be meditative, expressive, and mysterious. Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1799, was the key that unlocked the door to understanding these symbols. Yet even today, many aspects remain elusive. The stone preserved the same text in 3 scripts, allowing modern scholars to decode phonetic hieroglyphs systematically. Still, nuances of meaning, wordplay, and symbolism continue to puzzle researchers. Some inscriptions may have been intended to be read aloud, others silently. Some functioned as prayers or spells, while others recorded mundane affairs. This ambiguity enhances the mystery, revealing a civilization that layered messages across levels of visibility, intelligibility, and sacred secrecy. Hieroglyphs were not confined to formal or sacred contexts. They also appeared in everyday life, on ostraca, pottery, and personal objects. People inscribed notes, letters, and simple records using abbreviated or cursive forms known as hieratic and demotic scripts. These everyday writings provide intimate glimpses into emotions, practical concerns, and the lives of those whose stories would otherwise remain invisible. In a sense, every mark is a whisper from the past, a small, human echo that bridges millennia, reminding us that mystery resides not only in grand monuments, but also in the ordinary gestures of a long-gone civilization. The symbolism within hieroglyphs reflects the Egyptians' broader worldview, where life, death, nature, and the divine were intertwined. Animals, plants, celestial bodies, and human figures were all more than representations. They carried layered meanings that connected the earthly and spiritual realms. The falcon of Horus, the scarab of Khepri, and the Ankh symbol of life were constant reminders that reality was multidimensional, and that knowledge could be both practical and esoteric. Hieroglyphs, thus, served as a mirror of Egyptian consciousness, blending fact with myth, ordinary experience with eternal significance. Decoding hieroglyphs also reveals the Egyptians' fascination with secrecy and hidden knowledge. Some inscriptions, particularly those in tombs and temples, were deliberately obscure, intended for specific audiences or for spiritual purposes. Initiates, priests, and royalty may have understood layers of meaning inaccessible to ordinary citizens. This controlled access to knowledge created an aura of mystery that persists today. Every symbol is a puzzle, a whisper, or a signpost to deeper truths, reminding us that information can be both revealed and concealed, depending on context, intention, and perception. Hieroglyphs also functioned as magical tools. Written words were believed to have power, to protect, heal, curse, or ensure success in the afterlife. Spells inscribed on tomb walls were not passive text. They were active agents in guiding the deceased and invoking divine forces. The Egyptians understood that writing was a bridge capable of manifesting intention into reality. In this sense, hieroglyphs were not merely symbolic, but performative, tools for interacting with a world that was simultaneously visible and invisible, predictable and mysterious. Modern discovery of hieroglyphs continues to inspire curiosity and awe. Archaeologists unearth inscriptions that challenge assumptions, reveal unexpected details, and even hint at lost rituals or forgotten gods. Each new find expands our understanding, while also reminding us of what remains unknown. Despite centuries of study, hieroglyphs maintain an elusive quality. They are messages from a past that feels both intimate and alien, tangible yet enigmatic. In tracing these symbols, we connect with minds that lived thousands of years ago, experiencing the same fascination, creativity, and reverence that defined their civilization. By exploring hieroglyphs, we are drawn into the interplay of language, art, ritual, and mystery. Each carved or painted symbol is an invitation to observe, reflect, and imagine. Ordinary messages become vessels of profound meaning, bridging human life with cosmic order. They demonstrate that knowledge can be layered, that writing can be sacred, and that mystery can coexist with clarity. As we follow the traces of these symbols, we sense a civilization that deeply valued the power of language to encode memory, guide behavior, and touch the eternal. As our exploration of hieroglyphs concludes, the natural transition is toward the physical evidence they accompany, the monuments, temples, and tombs that carry these messages across millennia. These structures are not merely stone and mortar. They are vessels of knowledge, ritual, and mystery, waiting silently for observers to read, reflect, and imagine. Hieroglyphs invite us to pause, listen, and enter the subtle world where the seen and unseen, known and hidden, coexist in delicate harmony. The Nile River is undeniably the heartbeat of Egypt, shaping not only the physical landscape, but also the cultural and spiritual essence of this ancient civilization. Flowing northward through the vast desert, it provided sustenance, fertile lands for agriculture, and a direct route for trade and communication. For thousands of years, the river has been a constant companion to the people of Egypt, a silent witness to the rise and fall of empires, and a source of life in an otherwise inhospitable environment. Its annual flooding, a miraculous natural event, was seen as a divine gift, with the water nourishing the land and ensuring the prosperity of the people. The Egyptians revered the Nile not just for its practicality, but for its deeper spiritual significance, linking it to gods and the cycles of life and death. The significance of the Nile extends far beyond its physical properties. In ancient Egyptian religion, the river was associated with the god Hapi, the deity of fertility and abundance. Hapi was believed to control the floodwaters that brought fertility to the land, ensuring the success of crops and the survival of the people. This connection between the river and the divine highlights the deep spiritual reverence the Egyptians had for their environment, and the way in which they saw the natural world as an extension of divine order. The cycles of the Nile mirrored the cycles of life itself: birth, death, and rebirth. Its floodwaters symbolized renewal, a constant reminder of the impermanence of life and the promise of resurrection, a theme echoed in Egyptian funerary rituals and beliefs in the afterlife. Yet, the Nile was not only a provider, it was also a symbol of mystery and power. The ancient Egyptians believed the river to be a direct link to the divine, a boundary between the mortal and the spiritual realms. It was seen as the pathway to the underworld, where souls journeyed after death. In the pyramid texts and other religious texts, the river is often depicted as a river of the dead, guiding the soul of the deceased to the afterlife. This belief imbued the river with a mystical aura, one that extended far beyond its agricultural significance. Moreover, the geographical nature of the Nile made it a powerful unifying force. As Egypt's primary water source, it connected Upper and Lower Egypt, uniting the two lands under one rule. The river served as a natural highway for the transportation of goods, armies, and ideas, facilitating cultural exchange between the disparate regions of the kingdom. Over time, the Nile came to symbolize not only physical unity, but also the unity of life and death, of gods and men. It was central to Egyptian identity, woven into the very fabric of their civilization. This deep relationship with the Nile is reflected in the architecture, art, and rituals that permeated Egyptian culture. But even as the Nile nurtured life, it also posed a number of challenges, many of which remain mysterious to this day. The flooding of the Nile, while a vital source of fertility, was an unpredictable phenomenon. While the river's flood patterns were crucial for planning the agricultural year, there were years when the waters failed to rise to the necessary levels, resulting in famine and hardship. This unpredictability must have been both a source of anxiety and reverence, with the Egyptians turning to their gods to ensure the timely flooding of the river. Over the centuries, this unpredictability only deepened the river's mystical reputation. There is also a mystery surrounding the ancient Egyptian practice of aligning their monuments and temples with the stars. The construction of the pyramids, for example, was intimately connected to the celestial movements, with the Great Pyramid of Giza being aligned almost perfectly with the stars of Orion's belt. The alignment of these structures with the Nile further suggests that the river was not merely a physical feature of the landscape, but was deeply intertwined with cosmic forces. The Egyptians may have seen the Nile as a river that flowed both through the land and through the heavens, connecting Earth with the stars above. As we examine the significance of the Nile, it becomes clear that the river represents much more than a simple watercourse. It was the foundation of Egypt's agricultural success, a vital link in the economy and infrastructure, and a potent symbol of divine power and eternal renewal. Yet, the mysteries surrounding its origins, its role in Egyptian cosmology, and the way it shaped the course of history remain tantalizingly elusive. Was the river, with its divine connections, a key to understanding the rise of Egyptian civilization? Or was it merely the backdrop against which the true power of Egypt, the power of its gods, its rulers, and its culture, was able to manifest? As we begin to understand the profound impact the Nile had on the civilization, we can now see that Egypt's mysteries were not confined to the physical world alone. The river was part of a much larger, more intricate system of beliefs, aligning the earthly and the divine in ways we're still only beginning to comprehend. From here, we venture into another mystery that connects Egypt's spiritual beliefs to the physical world: the astonishing alignment of the pyramids with the stars. The Great Pyramids of Giza stand as one of the most enduring symbols of ancient Egypt's power and mystery. Their sheer size and the precision with which they were built are remarkable, but it's their alignment with the stars that truly intrigues both scholars and dreamers alike. These structures, which were constructed over 4,500 years ago, display a knowledge of astronomy so advanced that it raises the question: how did the ancient Egyptians, without modern instruments, achieve such perfect alignments with celestial bodies? The Great Pyramid of Khufu, the largest of the three pyramids at Giza, is aligned so precisely with the cardinal directions that it is almost indistinguishable from true north, a feat that remains astonishing even by today's standards. The most striking alignment, however, is with the stars of Orion's belt. This alignment has been the subject of much debate and speculation. Orion was associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and the ancient Egyptians believed that the pharaohs, upon their death, would join Osiris in the afterlife, becoming one with the stars. The fact that the pyramids were constructed in a way that mirrors the position of Orion's belt suggests that the pyramids were not merely tombs, but perhaps gateways to the heavens themselves. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars of Orion could symbolize the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife, and the placement of the pyramids may have been intended to facilitate this cosmic passage. The relationship between the pyramids and the stars is not limited to Orion's belt. Other celestial alignments have also been discovered, suggesting that the Egyptians had a profound understanding of the night sky and its movements. For instance, the pyramids are aligned with incredible accuracy to the solstices and equinoxes, times that were of great importance to the Egyptians, who relied on these natural cycles to govern agricultural activities and religious festivals. The knowledge of these cycles and the ability to incorporate them into the design of the pyramids suggests that the Egyptians viewed their world as a microcosm of the cosmos. The earth and the heavens were not separate realms, but were intimately connected, and the pyramids were built as a physical manifestation of this cosmic harmony. As we explore these astronomical alignments, we must also consider the technology that the ancient Egyptians may have used to achieve such precision. While some scholars believe that they employed simple tools such as plumb bobs, ropes, and leveling instruments, others suggest that they may have had access to lost or forgotten technologies, tools or methods that have been lost to history. Some even propose that the Egyptians may have had an advanced knowledge of optics or other scientific principles that allowed them to achieve such precise measurements. The mystery of how these alignments were achieved is compounded by the fact that the Egyptians left no written records detailing their methods. This lack of documentation has led to speculation that the secrets of their astronomical knowledge may have been deliberately concealed, hidden from all but the highest priests and rulers. This astronomical knowledge was not limited to the pyramids alone. The Egyptians built many of their temples and monuments with a keen awareness of celestial alignments. The Temple of Karnak, for example, was carefully oriented to the sunrise on the winter solstice. The alignment of the temples with the sun's movement symbolizes the intimate relationship between the earthly and divine realms. The Egyptians saw the sun as a powerful god, Ra, and the daily journey of the sun across the sky was seen as a representation of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. By aligning their temples and monuments with the movements of the heavens, the Egyptians sought to draw the power of the stars and the sun down to earth, creating a space where the divine and the human could meet. One of the most intriguing aspects of Egypt's astronomical knowledge is its potential connection to ancient wisdom from other parts of the world. Some researchers suggest that the Egyptians may have shared this astronomical knowledge with other ancient cultures, whether they were part of a larger, global network of civilizations that understood the movements of the stars. The alignment of the pyramids with Orion's belt, for instance, mirrors similar alignments in Mesoamerica, with the Mayans and other ancient civilizations also constructing temples and cities based on their observations of the stars. Could these distant cultures have been connected, sharing knowledge and wisdom across vast distances? The possibility of a lost network of ancient civilizations with shared astronomical knowledge remains an intriguing mystery. The idea of a shared ancient knowledge raises even deeper questions about the origins of the Egyptians' astronomical expertise. Was their understanding of the stars self-taught, developed over generations of careful observation and study? Or was it passed down from a more advanced civilization that predated the rise of Egypt? Some have suggested that the Egyptians may have had contact with extraterrestrial beings who imparted advanced knowledge to them. While this theory remains highly speculative, it adds an additional layer of mystery to the question of how the Egyptians achieved such a remarkable understanding of the cosmos. At the heart of the mystery is the fact that we may never fully understand how the ancient Egyptians acquired their astronomical knowledge or what they intended to achieve with it. The pyramids, with their precise alignments and celestial symbolism, are a testament to the Egyptians' profound connection to the stars. Yet, the true purpose behind these alignments remains elusive. Were the pyramids intended to serve as tombs, guiding the souls of the pharaohs to the afterlife? Or were they meant to serve as more than that, a portal to the stars, a cosmic link between the mortal realm and the divine? As we ponder these questions, it becomes clear that the Great Pyramids of Giza are not just physical monuments, but symbols of a much deeper mystery, one that connects the ancient Egyptians to the stars and to the vast, unknowable universe beyond. Whether the pyramids were designed to guide the pharaohs on their journey to the afterlife, to align Egypt with the divine, or to serve as a record of lost knowledge, they remain one of the most fascinating and perplexing mysteries of the ancient world. The astronomical secrets of the pyramids serve as a bridge between the known and the unknown, reminding us that despite our best efforts to understand the ancient world, there are still many mysteries left unsolved. The more we uncover, the more we realize how much there is yet to discover, how much wisdom and knowledge has been lost to time. And as we continue to gaze up at the night sky, perhaps we are reminded of the ancient Egyptians who looked to the stars, not only as a source of wonder, but as a key to unlocking the mysteries of life, death, and the universe itself. One of the most fascinating aspects of ancient Egyptian culture is its intricate and deeply spiritual belief in the afterlife. To the Egyptians, death was not an end, but a transition, an essential step in a journey toward immortality. This belief shaped every aspect of their society, from their monumental tombs to their daily rituals. At the core of this belief system was the conviction that life continued after death, but only for those who were properly prepared. The ancient Egyptians saw the afterlife as a vast, mysterious realm, and they believed that with the right knowledge, guidance, and protection, one could successfully navigate this otherworldly journey. The key to understanding the Egyptian afterlife lies in the Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and incantations that were meant to guide the deceased through the dangers of the underworld and ensure their safe passage to the afterlife. This text, written on papyrus and placed in the tombs of the dead, served as both a map and a spiritual guide. It provided instructions on how to navigate the perilous journey, detailing the challenges the soul would face and the rituals that would be required to overcome them. The book also described the trials that the deceased would encounter as they made their way to the Hall of Judgment, where they would be weighed against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and justice. The central concept of the Egyptian afterlife was the Duat, a complex and multifaceted realm that was both a physical place and a spiritual one. The Duat was often depicted as a dark, labyrinthine underworld, where the souls of the dead had to confront various obstacles and enemies before they could reach their final destination. To the Egyptians, the afterlife was a place of both danger and reward, a land where souls would either be granted eternal life among the gods or condemned to oblivion. This duality reflected their view of life itself, an endless cycle of creation, destruction, and rebirth. At the heart of this journey was the belief in resurrection. The Egyptians believed that the soul of the deceased would undergo a process of transformation, much like the seasonal cycles of the Nile River. Just as the flooding of the Nile brought life to the land, so too did the resurrection of the soul bring new life in the afterlife. The soul would pass through various trials and obstacles, including encounters with terrifying monsters and gods, before finally achieving rebirth. The ultimate goal of this journey was to join the gods in a paradise-like existence, where the soul would live forever in peace and harmony. But this journey to immortality was not an easy one. The Egyptians believed that the soul had to be carefully prepared for the afterlife, which is why so much emphasis was placed on mummification and burial rituals. The process of mummification was an art form that involved preserving the body so that the soul could recognize it in the afterlife. The body, in Egyptian belief, was a vessel for the soul, and if the body decayed or was damaged, the soul would be lost forever. This belief led to the elaborate rituals of embalming and the construction of tombs, which were filled with treasures and items that the deceased might need in the afterlife. The most famous example of this practice is the tomb of King Tutankhamun, whose elaborate burial was discovered by Howard Carter in 1922. The treasures found in Tutankhamun's tomb, including gold jewelry, statues, and chariots, were meant to accompany the king on his journey into the afterlife. But the tomb also contained a wealth of symbolic items, such as amulets and spells from the Book of the Dead, which were believed to offer protection and guidance to the young pharaoh as he faced the dangers of the underworld. Despite the careful preparations made for the journey to the afterlife, however, the Egyptians also believed in the possibility of failure. If the deceased did not pass the trials of the Duat, their soul would be devoured by the demon Ammit and condemned to an eternity of nothingness. This fear of eternal oblivion was one of the driving forces behind the elaborate funeral rites and the construction of tombs. The tombs themselves, particularly those of the pharaohs, were designed as elaborate, multi-chambered structures filled with everything the deceased would need for their journey: food, clothing, tools, and even servants in some cases. These tombs were seen as temporary homes for the dead, places where the soul could rest and prepare for its final ascent to the stars. But the Egyptians' focus on the afterlife was not just a reflection of their religious beliefs. It also had a profound impact on their art and architecture. The pyramids, for example, were not just monumental tombs, but symbolic gateways to the heavens. Their massive size and alignment with the stars were meant to reflect the pharaoh's connection to the divine and to guide their soul on its journey to the afterlife. In this way, the pyramids were both funerary monuments and celestial beacons, linking the earthly realm with the stars above. The concept of the afterlife was also central to Egyptian social and political life. The pharaohs, as divine rulers, were seen as intermediaries between the gods and the people. Their role in life was to maintain order and harmony, but their role in death was equally important. The pharaohs were believed to continue their reign in the afterlife, ensuring the continued prosperity of Egypt. Their tombs, therefore, were not just personal burial sites, but also representations of Egypt's continued strength and stability. Yet, as much as the Egyptians believed in the afterlife, they were also keenly aware of the mysteries that surrounded it. While the Book of the Dead provided a guide for the deceased, much about the afterlife remained unknown. The Egyptians' reverence for the afterlife was balanced by a sense of awe and uncertainty. After all, it was a realm that no one could truly understand until they had crossed over. This sense of mystery is one of the things that make the Egyptian afterlife so intriguing. It was both a source of comfort and fear, a place of ultimate reward and punishment. The notion of an afterlife that continued beyond death also raised deeper philosophical questions about the nature of existence itself. Was the afterlife merely a continuation of life, or was it something altogether different? The Egyptians' complex rituals, their devotion to the preservation of the body, and their reverence for the gods all suggest that they believed in the afterlife as a continuation of their relationship with the divine. But the mystery remains. Did they truly believe that death could be conquered, or was the afterlife simply another form of existence that transcended the mortal world? As we reflect on the Egyptian view of the afterlife, we are reminded of the deep connection between their religious beliefs and their daily lives. Their focus on the afterlife was not just a spiritual endeavor. It was a practical one, shaping everything from their tomb construction to their funerary practices. It was a worldview that saw death not as an end, but as a transformation, a journey that connected the living to the divine and the eternal. The afterlife, in the Egyptian mind, was not a faraway, inaccessible realm, but an ever-present reality that shaped and influenced every aspect of their world. In the end, the mysteries of the Egyptian afterlife remain as elusive as the stars they so revered. The rituals, the beliefs, and the tombs continue to captivate us, offering a glimpse into a worldview that was as complex and enigmatic as the civilization that created it. As we ponder the mysteries of life and death, the ancient Egyptians continue to remind us that perhaps the greatest mystery of all is what lies beyond the veil. In the vast, shimmering waters of the Mediterranean, just off the coast of Egypt, lies a place once believed to be lost to history. The sunken city of Heracleion. Also known as Thonis, this ancient Egyptian port city was once a thriving hub of trade, culture, and religion, playing a pivotal role in connecting Egypt to the Greek world. But for centuries, it was thought to have vanished beneath the waves, lost to time and forgotten by the world. That is, until 2000, when a team of underwater archaeologists stumbled upon its ruins, deep beneath the sea. Heracleion, named after the legendary Greek hero Heracles, was once a bustling city situated near the mouth of the Nile, strategically placed to control the flow of goods coming in and out of Egypt. It was here that merchants, sailors, and diplomats converged, exchanging goods and ideas between Egypt, Greece, and beyond. The city was also a major religious center, with grand temples dedicated to Egyptian gods such as Ammonius, Isis, and Osiris. Its importance is reflected in the wealth of artifacts and inscriptions found at the site, clues that paint a picture of a thriving metropolis that stood at the crossroads of ancient civilizations. But despite its prominence in the ancient world, Heracleion remained a mystery for more than 1,000 years. Ancient Greek and Roman texts mention the city, but its exact location was lost, and its story faded into legend. Over time, it became the subject of myth and speculation, with theories ranging from the city being swallowed up by the sea due to an earthquake or a flood, to the belief that it had been destroyed by the gods for reasons unknown. The mystery deepened when, in the 20th century, archaeologists began to search for the fabled city. They were led to the area near the modern Egyptian port city of Alexandria, where they found something remarkable: the ruins of an ancient city still standing beneath the water. What followed was one of the most extraordinary underwater archaeological discoveries of the modern era. The city's remains were discovered submerged in about 10 meters, 33 feet, of water, along with a wealth of statues, temples, inscriptions, and everyday items. The most striking of these were massive stone columns and the remnants of monumental structures, some still standing tall against the currents of the sea. The discovery of these ruins not only confirmed Heracleon's existence, but also offered a window into the advanced engineering and architectural skills of the ancient Egyptians. The fact that entire temples, streets, and even monumental statues of Egyptian gods had survived for over 2,000 years beneath the waves was a testament to the skill of the builders, as well as the preservation conditions of the sea. Among the treasures recovered from the site were statues of Egyptian deities, including a particularly striking one of the god Ammonius, and several inscriptions that identified the city's role as a religious and commercial center. Perhaps one of the most intriguing discoveries was a series of massive stone anchors, which suggested the port's crucial role in ancient maritime trade. The city's docks were once a thriving center for the import and export of goods, with vessels sailing from far-flung regions to deliver their wares. The recovered anchors serve as a reminder of the bustling maritime activity that once took place here, as well as the city's importance as a trade nexus between Egypt, Greece, and the wider Mediterranean world. Despite these significant findings, the reason why Heraclean sank remains one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world. Scholars have proposed several theories to explain the city's sudden disappearance. Some suggest that a natural disaster, such as an earthquake or a series of strong floods, could have caused the city to subside into the sea. In fact, some of the ruins found at the site show signs of earthquake damage, with some buildings tilted and fractured in a way that suggests they were violently shaken. The region where Heraclean was located is known for its seismic activity, which makes this theory plausible. Others propose that the sinking of Heraclean was part of a much larger phenomenon of land subsidence. In a process known as delta subsidence, the land around the Nile Delta has been slowly sinking for thousands of years, a natural process exacerbated by human activity, such as irrigation. If Heraclean was built on unstable ground, this could have caused the city to gradually sink beneath the waves over time. This theory is supported by the fact that other ancient Egyptian cities, such as Canopus, are believed to have also succumbed to the same process of land subsidence. The idea of a cataclysmic event is, however, tempered by the fact that there is no record of a single catastrophic event that caused Heraclean's destruction. There is no historical account of a massive flood or earthquake that would explain the sudden loss of the city. And yet, the fact remains that the city simply disappeared from history. One intriguing possibility is that the city's destruction may have been gradual, occurring over the course of several centuries. It is conceivable that the city's decline was a slow process, marked by a combination of environmental factors, political instability, and shifting trade routes, which caused Heraclean to lose its status and importance. Some researchers have even speculated that Heraclean's decline could have been related to the political shifts in Egypt itself. During the time when the city was at its peak, Egypt was undergoing significant changes in its political structure. The rise of Alexandria as a new political and cultural center, along with the changes in the control of the Nile Delta, may have contributed to Heraclean's decline. The city might have been gradually abandoned as its importance waned and new centers of power took precedence. Despite the many theories, no definitive answer has been found to explain why Heraclean sank. The mystery of its disappearance remains unsolved, adding to the intrigue of the site. Some speculate that the true story of the city's demise may be lost forever, buried beneath the waves, hidden from our understanding. Today, the ruins of Heraclean stand as a testament to the complexity and sophistication of ancient Egypt's urban planning, as well as a reminder of the fragility of human civilization. The artifacts and structures recovered from the site continue to yield valuable insights into the ancient world, shedding light on Egypt's role as a global power during the first millennium BCE. But the city also serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most powerful and prosperous civilizations can fade into obscurity, swallowed by the forces of nature, time, and neglect. What is clear, however, is that the discovery of Heraclean has redefined our understanding of Egypt's history. For centuries, this once thriving metropolis was thought to be a mere legend. But now, thanks to modern technology and underwater archaeology, we can peer into the past and uncover the secrets of a forgotten city. Heraclean remains one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 21st century, a symbol of both the brilliance and mystery of the ancient world. The curse of the pharaohs is one of the most enduring and intriguing mysteries surrounding ancient Egypt. Rooted in a blend of superstition, folklore, and historical events, the The legend suggests that those who disturb the tombs of the ancient pharaohs will be struck down by a deadly curse. This ominous tale has captured the imagination of people around the world, leading to stories of untimely deaths and misfortune that followed the discovery of royal tombs. But is there any truth to this curse, or is it merely the result of coincidence and overactive imaginations? The story of the curse gained global attention after the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922 by British archaeologist Howard Carter. Among the first to enter the tomb, Carter and his team unearthed a treasure trove of artifacts, including the iconic Golden Death Mask of the young pharaoh. But soon after, rumors began to circulate about a curse that would befall anyone who dared to disturb the resting place of the boy king. The legend grew when several members of Carter's team, most notably Lord Carnarvon, who funded the expedition, died under mysterious or suspicious circumstances. Lord Carnarvon died just months after the tomb's opening, reportedly from an infected mosquito bite. His death, occurring so soon after the tomb's discovery, sparked widespread panic, with the media fueling sensational stories about a curse that had claimed its first victim. This tragic event was the beginning of what became known as the Curse of the Pharaohs, with more deaths and accidents occurring among those connected to the tomb. Some reports suggested that members of Carter's team had suffered fatal heart attacks, illnesses, or accidents. In the years that followed, the death toll was said to rise as more individuals involved in the excavation succumbed to mysterious ailments. The media coverage amplified the curse's reputation, turning it into a captivating tale of retribution from the gods for desecrating the sacred tombs of Egypt's ancient rulers. The idea of a curse was not new to ancient Egypt. In fact, the Egyptians themselves placed curses on tombs to protect the remains of their pharaohs and important figures from grave robbers and intruders. Many of the tombs in Egypt were inscribed with warnings, often invoking the wrath of gods like Osiris and Anubis. These curses were meant to act as deterrents, threatening anyone who dared to enter the tomb with divine punishment. However, there is little evidence that the ancient Egyptians believed in a universal curse that could affect all tombs. Instead, the curses were more specific to individuals who defiled or disturbed the sacred burial sites. Yet, despite the warnings etched into the walls of ancient tombs, the idea of the curse of the pharaohs really took off in the modern era. The high-profile death of Lord Carnarvon in 1923 set off a wave of stories about the curse, and many began to believe that there was more to the legend than mere superstition. Journalists and writers soon linked the deaths of other individuals connected to the tomb with the idea of the curse, suggesting that the pharaohs were seeking revenge for their disturbed slumbers. This connection between Tutankhamun's tomb and the curse became a powerful narrative, perpetuated by books, films, and documentaries that played on the mystery and intrigue surrounding the site. The most famous case associated with the curse is that of George Gould, the American heir to a railroad fortune, who visited the tomb shortly after its discovery. Gould, who reportedly had a small brush with the tomb's treasure, died under mysterious circumstances in 1923. Others, such as Richard Bethel, Carter's personal assistant, also reportedly died under suspicious circumstances in the years following the discovery. The mounting number of deaths, coupled with a media frenzy, led many to believe that something supernatural was at play. But is it possible that these deaths were merely coincidental? And if so, why do these stories continue to captivate us even today? There is a scientific explanation that some scholars and researchers have suggested to debunk the myth of the curse: toxins. Some have argued that the tombs of the ancient Egyptians, being sealed for thousands of years, could have contained deadly bacteria or spores that could cause illness to those who entered. For example, the walls of the tombs were often covered in fungi, which could have produced toxic gases or other harmful substances that affected the health of the tomb robbers or explorers. The idea is that the curse may have been a natural consequence of entering a sealed, stagnant environment, rather than some form of divine retribution. Additionally, the period surrounding the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb was rife with misfortune, a time of war, disease, and political upheaval. Many of those who perished did so at a time when tuberculosis, malaria, and other illnesses were common. Given the general state of health and hygiene in the early 20th century, it is conceivable that some of the individuals involved in the excavation were simply victims of these widespread diseases. Despite these possible natural explanations, the curse myth persists in popular culture. Some argue that the media's sensationalist coverage of the tomb's discovery amplified the perception of a supernatural force at work. The deaths of several individuals connected to the excavation could have been easily explained away by natural causes, but the timing and frequency of the events were too coincidental for the public to ignore. As a result, the idea of the curse of the pharaohs continued to grow, becoming an inseparable part of the legend surrounding Tutankhamun's tomb. In the broader context of Egyptian history, the belief in curses can be seen as part of a long tradition of magical thinking that permeated ancient Egyptian culture. The Egyptians believed in a world full of spiritual forces, where gods, demons, and the dead all had an influence on the living. These forces were both benevolent and malevolent, and the power of curses, magic, and spells was central to their worldview. The Book of the Dead, for instance, is filled with spells and incantations meant to protect the deceased from evil forces and to ensure safe passage through the afterlife. It is possible that the belief in curses was not just a means of deterrence, but a reflection of the deep spiritual understanding the Egyptians had of the forces beyond the physical world. In the case of the curse of the pharaohs, the legend of divine retribution for disturbing sacred tombs resonates with this worldview. The ancient Egyptians' belief in the power of the dead, and their conviction that the deceased could wield influence over the living, is perhaps at the heart of the curse's appeal. Whether the curse is real or simply a product of myth, it taps into a deep-seated human fear of the unknown and the supernatural, of forces beyond our understanding that can punish us for our transgressions. As we reflect on the curse of the pharaohs, it is impossible not to wonder whether there is more to this story than mere superstition. The curse continues to captivate us because it is more than just a cautionary tale about tomb raiders. It speaks to our collective fascination with the afterlife, with the mysteries of death, and with the idea that the dead are never truly gone. The curse of the pharaohs is a myth that continues to thrive, feeding our curiosity and imagination, keeping us enthralled by the dark, enigmatic world of ancient Egypt. Among the most iconic structures in the world, the Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a testament to the grandeur, precision, and mystery of ancient Egypt. For millennia, it has fascinated historians, archaeologists, and laypeople alike. Towering at 481 feet, 146 meters, when it was first constructed, it was the tallest man-made structure on Earth for over 3,800 years. But despite its status as one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, the Great Pyramid still holds countless secrets that have eluded even the most determined minds for centuries. The pyramid is a marvel of engineering, built from over 3 million stone blocks, each weighing several tons. The sheer scale of the structure is staggering, and the methods used to construct it remain a subject of debate. How did the ancient Egyptians manage to cut, transport, and place these massive stones with such precision, especially considering the technology available to them at the time? Some theories suggest that ramps were used to move the blocks into place, while others propose that sophisticated cranes or levers might have been employed. Yet, no definitive answer has been found, and the question of how the Great Pyramid was built continues to baffle researchers. Adding to the mystery is the alignment of the pyramid with the cardinal points of the compass. The Great Pyramid is aligned almost perfectly with true north, a feat that would have required advanced knowledge of astronomy. How the Egyptians, without the aid of modern tools, were able to achieve such an accurate alignment remains one of the pyramid's greatest mysteries. Some have speculated that the ancient Egyptians used the stars to guide their construction, while others suggest they may have employed shadow measurements or other methods to achieve this extraordinary precision. One of the most perplexing aspects of the Great Pyramid is its purpose. Traditionally, it is thought to have been a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops, who reigned during Egypt's 4th dynasty, around 2580 BCE. However, the absence of inscriptions or the typical burial goods associated with other royal tombs has raised questions about this assumption. Unlike the tombs of later pharaohs, which were filled with treasures, statues, and elaborate offerings, the Great Pyramid contains very little in terms of grave goods. The king's burial chamber, located deep within the pyramid, is sparse and relatively unadorned. There are no inscriptions, no detailed depictions of the pharaoh's reign, and no wealth to speak of, only a solitary, plain stone sarcophagus. Could it be that the Great Pyramid was never intended as a tomb in the traditional sense? Perhaps it served a different, yet equally important, purpose. Some scholars argue that the Great Pyramid was not a tomb at all, but rather a symbolic monument to the afterlife and the divine. The pyramid's shape, with its sloping sides, may have been designed to represent the rays of the sun, with the pharaoh's soul ascending to join the sun god Ra in the afterlife. In this view, the pyramid was not merely a tomb, but a massive cosmic symbol, designed to facilitate the pharaoh's journey into the heavens. This idea is supported by the orientation of the Great Pyramid, which points directly to the pole star, a critical reference point in Egyptian astronomy. The pyramid could have been intended as a kind of celestial conduit, helping the pharaoh's soul to transcend the earthly realm and reunite with the gods. Others suggest that the pyramid was a temple, a place of ritual and ceremony designed to connect the living with the divine. In ancient Egypt, temples were not just places of worship, but sites where the gods were believed to dwell. The Great Pyramid, with its imposing size and grandeur, could have served as a symbolic link between the earthly and spiritual realms. It may have been a place where priests performed sacred rituals to ensure the continued favor of the gods, particularly Ra, the sun god, who was believed to be the source of all life. The idea that the Great Pyramid was intended to serve as a temple rather than a tomb would explain the lack of traditional burial goods. Perhaps the pyramid itself was the ultimate offering to the gods. Another theory proposes that the Great Pyramid was designed as a giant astronomical observatory, built to track the movements of the stars and planets. The precision with which the pyramid is aligned with the cardinal points, as well as its near-perfect geometric proportions, has led some researchers to believe that the structure may have had an astronomical function. Its design could have allowed ancient Egyptians to predict the movements of celestial bodies with remarkable accuracy. The idea of the pyramid as an observatory ties into Egypt's deep connection with the stars, as evidenced by the role of the constellations in Egyptian religious beliefs and their connection to the afterlife. It is possible that the pyramid's purpose was not only spiritual but also scientific, serving as a tool for understanding the heavens. While these theories offer fascinating possibilities, the true purpose of the Great Pyramid remains elusive. Its construction, scale, and meaning are so intertwined with the culture, religion, and knowledge of ancient Egypt that we may never fully understand it. Some researchers speculate that the pyramid could have been a symbol of the pharaoh's power and divine authority, an expression of his control over the cosmos. Others believe it was a grand statement about the pharaoh's role in maintaining cosmic order, an effort to ensure the stability of the world by aligning the earthly realm with the celestial one. The interior of the pyramid adds to the enigma. Its chambers, including the king's chamber and the queen's chamber, are positioned in such a way that they form a remarkable alignment with certain stars in the sky. For example, the king's chamber is aligned with the star Sirius, which held great importance in Egyptian cosmology. The pyramid's internal passages and chambers are not randomly placed, but seem to follow a carefully planned architectural scheme that reflects the stars above. This alignment suggests that the pyramid may have had a deeper cosmic significance, perhaps tied to the Egyptian belief in the relationship between the pharaoh and the stars. Despite centuries of research, the Great Pyramid continues to be a source of fascination, its true purpose remaining an open question. Theories abound, but no definitive answers have been found. The pyramid's construction is another area of mystery. While we know it was built with remarkable precision, the exact methods used to construct it are still debated. How could such massive stones have been transported and placed with such accuracy? The sheer scale of the project and the level of skill required to complete it suggest a level of engineering knowledge that seems far ahead of its time. Did the ancient Egyptians possess techniques that have been lost to history, or was there a greater force behind the construction of the pyramid? Some have even speculated that the pyramid's design and construction could be the result of knowledge passed down from an earlier, advanced civilization, though such claims remain highly speculative and controversial. The mystery of the Great Pyramid is part of a larger fascination with Egypt's ability to achieve feats of engineering that remain unparalleled in the ancient world. The fact that such a monument could be built with such precision, without the advanced tools and machinery that we have today, continues to baffle us. And as long as there are unanswered questions, the Great Pyramid will remain one of the most enduring symbols of ancient Egypt's brilliance, mystery, and the unexplained. As we stand before the Great Pyramid, we are confronted with the realization that its secrets may never be fully uncovered. What we do know is that it represents the epitome of ancient Egyptian architecture, spirituality, and knowledge. Whether it was a tomb, a temple, or an astronomical observatory, or perhaps a combination of all these things, it remains a monument to the ingenuity and mystery of one of the most advanced civilizations the world has ever known. The Great Pyramid is not just a physical structure. It is a symbol of the eternal quest for knowledge, the mysteries of the cosmos, and the enduring legacy of ancient Egypt. As we reflect on the many mysteries of ancient Egypt, it's clear that this civilization's influence reaches far beyond its impressive monuments and tombs. The legacies of its knowledge, culture, and spirituality continue to shape the modern world, leaving a profound imprint on our understanding of science, religion, and even the very concept of immortality. The pyramids, once thought to be symbols of eternal greatness, are more than mere structures. They are a window into a civilization that was ahead of its time in so many ways. The Egyptians were pioneers in fields such as mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Their knowledge of the natural world was far ahead of many contemporary societies, and their advancements laid the groundwork for future innovations. The Egyptians were able to calculate the movements of stars and planets with precision, and their methods of measuring and constructing were revolutionary for their time. Yet, as much as we've uncovered about these achievements, we still find ourselves puzzled by their methods and achievements. How did they build the pyramids with such precision, or what hidden knowledge might have been lost to time? Beyond their intellectual contributions, Egypt's spirituality remains a key part of its legacy. Their beliefs about the afterlife, the gods, and the cosmic order continue to captivate our imaginations. The intricate rituals surrounding death and the soul's journey through the afterlife reveal an understanding of life's impermanence that resonates even today. In a way, the Egyptians were not only concerned with leaving behind monuments to their greatness, but with ensuring their ideas and beliefs would endure for eternity. As we continue to explore the mysteries of ancient Egypt, we realize that their influence will never fade. The secrets of Egypt are alive within us, shaping our thoughts, ideas, and even the way we view life and death itself. As we come to the end of our journey through the ancient secrets of Egypt, we are left with a profound sense of awe and mystery. The pyramids, tombs, and mummies speak to us across millennia, not just as relics of a bygone era, but as symbols of the timeless questions that have preoccupied humanity since the dawn of civilization. While Egypt's monumental architecture and achievements in science, art, and spirituality are well documented, it is the mysteries that remain unanswered that continue to captivate our imaginations. The legacy of ancient Egypt is not just about what we know, but also about what we still do not know. How were the pyramids built? What was the true role of the pharaohs in guiding the soul to the afterlife? What ancient knowledge have we lost forever? And what can we still learn from this extraordinary civilization? These unanswered questions only add to Egypt's allure, keeping us searching for answers that may never come. What we can be certain of, however, is that the ancient Egyptians left us with a vision of immortality, not just through grand monuments, but through their profound understanding of life, death, and the cosmos. Their spiritual beliefs, particularly their ideas about the afterlife and the divine order of the universe, continue to influence modern thoughts on life's greatest mysteries. Even today, Egypt's secrets, hidden in its temples, tombs, and hieroglyphs, remind us that there is always more to discover. The search for answers, for meaning, and for connection to something greater than ourselves is a journey that transcends time. And as we reflect on Egypt's enduring legacy, we realize that, in some way, we are all still looking for the same answers they sought so long ago.